Of all the sports that can be made into video games, I think tennis is probably the most suited. It can all fit onto one screen, it's extremely easy to understand the rules, it's perfectly set up for single or multiplayer, has options for both co-op and competitive, and the sport itself has barely changed since video games began. And of course, game developers understood this early on, and we've had video games based on tennis for as long as we've had games, with the first video game, Tennis for Two, being directly inspired by the sport. That means it's a very crowded market, so saying a particular game is the best one is a tall feat indeed. But I truly believe the Virtua Tennis 2, or Tennis 2K2 if you're from the USA, on the Sega Dreamcast is the best tennis game ever released. Here's why. So to start with, I'm going to give a basic rundown of all the modes and attractions offered in the game. Firstly, there is the World Tour mode. The first thing you do is create a male and female player using the somewhat limited options, customising their appearance and clothes, and then you hit the circuit. The progression is simple but addictive. You take on mini-games, which increase your stats and get more difficult over time, in order to get better and enter competitions, which increase your rank and give you prize money, which you can spend on new equipment and partners for double tournaments, in order to get better and win more tournaments until you're the #1 player in the world. It's simple but fun. The first reason it works is the mini-games. In plenty of sports games that feature this sort of mechanic, such as the old Fight Night games or the newer FIFA ones, they are a complete bore to do, and you end up just wanting to skip them. In Virtua Tennis, however, they are attractions in their own right, and a lot of fun. Let's take a look at them all. Disc Shooter is one in which you have to place your shots carefully to turn over discs, while making sure not to hit ones already turned over, with points being allocated based on how many are left at the end. Tank Attack lets you beat back some beefy tanks that are shooting you, taking care not to get hit. Bullseye is pretty self-explanatory. The closer to the bullseye, the higher the score. Danger Flags lets you work on your footwork, dodging the balls being blasted as you pick up all the flags on the court with no way of firing back. Pin Crasher is essentially bowling with tennis balls. Alien Force is essentially Space Invaders, with the aliens moving side to side and the objective being to clear the screen. Prize Sniper is like an old game show, with points being given based on which prize can be knocked off from the conveyor belt. Finally, there is Stomp Man, in which you have to juggle the ball whilst knocking over as many cans as you can with your feet. As you increase in rank, so do the mini-games, and then change up slightly and get more difficult or challenging, but the ideas stay the same. They work so well not just because they are creative and fun to play, but because they actually somehow make you better in the fields they're supposed to. You feel your accuracy and control of the shots getting better as you play them, with the mini-games almost feeling like something Mr. Miyagi could have come up with. It's very strange to get better at a game without actually playing the main events, but it's what happens. The other great choice they made is that you can pick what training you do, when, and for how often, so that if you feel a bit of tire coming on from them, you can always leave it a while before picking them back up. The second reason is that the tournaments have a lot of gravitas to them. Due to the ranking system, it takes a long time before you're able to take on the big opens, so for a lot of it, you'll be scrabbling around in smaller tournaments, attempting to work your way up. It gets so tense when you're tired in a big game, and so triumphant when you eventually win. It really succeeds in making events feel like they have weight to them, and you find yourself really wanting to win these silly digital tournaments in a video game from 2001. It gets you right in the gamer, that place where your hands get all sweaty, your eyes fix onto the screen, you forget the world around you, and are perfectly in the moment. It doesn't happen with a lot of games, but it happens with this one. And the beauty is that because you have moments of such intensity, separated by such light-hearted and silly mini-games, you never get bored because it's always changing. Other than the World Tour modes, there are the standard exhibition mode in which you can set up custom matches and the tournament mode in which you can set up custom tournaments. The exhibition mode is great fun to play with other people. 4-player Virtua Tennis 2 on a Dreamcast is something to marvel at, and it's more fun than it has a right to be. Sure, other tennis games have this option too, so it's not entirely a point in Virtua Tennis 2 favour, but the culmination of everything else makes it a true party game. None of this would matter though, if the gameplay of the actual tennis itself wasn't good. Who cares about the mini-games if the core game isn't good? Well, it is good. It's excellent, in fact. Sega, in the era of the Dreamcast, had this perfect ability to create games which seemed both suited for arcades and home consoles, perfectly straddling the line. The issue of many games nowadays is that they go too far in one direction. They either make games ultra-realistic, or they veer in the other way and interpret arcade style as being incredibly unrealistic. The truth is, arcade gameplay is neither of these things, yet both at the same time. Arcade style gameplay as a genre is very hard to define, but for me, playing something like Virtua Tennis 2 just encapsulates it. I can't quite put into words what defines this genre, but I know it when I play it. It's realistic in the sense that the physics, movement, graphics, animation and AI are all believable, yet arcade in the way that it's slightly exaggerated in what you can and can't do. It manages to take the best aspects of making a game true to life and the best aspects of making it simply to be entertaining, truly the best of both worlds. Virtua Tennis 2 is just fun. You always genuinely feel in control of the game when you're a player, and when you miss a shot or aren't placed correctly, it feels like your fault and you want to do better. You don't mind losing because the game itself is so fun. There were things I could talk about which made it amazing at the time, such as the graphics, camera angles, etc. But those don't really matter in the modern sense. What matters is the gameplay, and that holds up so well. Playing it to make this video, I had a hard time putting it down, and you can believe that I'm going to be playing it much more once this video is done. It has that perfect difficulty level, easy to pick up yet hard to master, which makes it so addictive. There really isn't any other tennis game out there that is at the same time attractive to fans of complex simulators and gamers which want simpler mechanics. There is plenty about this game I didn't go into in this video. I didn't talk about the different kind of shots you can do, how topspin and underspin works, the real life players that were included, and many other features, because they don't really matter. All that matters is that when you pick up the controller and play the game, you know you're going to have fun. It's the type of game I'm confident I can place in the hands of any gamer and they'd enjoy. Virtua Tennis 2 might even be one of the best sports games ever made, and one of the best overall games on the Dreamcast. One thing is sure though, Virtua Tennis 2 is the best tennis game ever made. Thanks for watching this video. What are your memories of Virtua Tennis 2? I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Alternatively, I have a Discord. If you want to jump on and chat, check out the link in the description below. If you decide to like what you see, it'd be really awesome if you chose to subscribe and even tick the little notification bell to get updated on future videos. Goodbye!